couple of big hits in the World Series. That man you might recognize, it's a Grand Slam home run. A few happy folks wearing those Sox uniforms, and this one, a base hit back up the middle. Equally as important, although a touch shorter. And that was Jermaine Dye. And we introduce you to Jermaine Dye, my far left, and Paul Konerko, my immediate left. And guys, you've had a real great opportunity to catch up with the former teammates. What was this weekend like for both of you?
Well, for me, it was great, just getting back, seeing the guys, and, just what a great time. It was special this weekend, and I really enjoyed it, and hadn't seen a couple of the guys in a long time, and it was good to get back in the stadium and see a bunch of familiar faces, and it was just great.
Paul, for you, this was a quick turnaround. Seemingly you were just here, now you're back again. How was it to be reunited with all the teammates?
Yeah, I mean, it was, as you can tell by my voice, you put this group together for 3 days, not having to play any baseball and get ready for a game. It's a lethal combination. So we've had a lot of fun. It's really the first time the group had been back together, minus the guys that are still playing, since we won. And, since 05, you know when you win, it's going to be something you have forever. But like this weekend kind of kicked that off in a way because we haven't been back together since then. And I don't know what expectations I had coming in, but I'd say everything has been more than what I could have thought it would be, and it's been a lot of fun.
Jermaine, looking back to 2005, was there a pivotal point of the season where you thought to yourself, you know what, this team might just get there? Was there any time when you thought, I think we've got a good shot?
Well, I think, always in spring training, you look around the clubhouse, you look at potential lineups, pitching staffs, and, I felt like we had what it took to compete. A lot of people, really didn't count us as being in the top of our division. And, I think over the course of the first couple of months, you go out and play and you kind of see what everybody's doing and how we're playing as a club. And I felt like, what made us great was, we had a bunch of guys that can carry a ball club at any point in time. And I think everybody really just pulled on the same end of the rope. And, Ozzie did a great job of keeping us focused. Sometimes when we struggled, he knew how to put the attention on himself at some point in time and let us go out there and play. And, I think we gelled as a club. And, of course, we ran into a little streak where we were giving that lead away down the stretch. But I think, once we clinched in Detroit, I think it was a sigh of relief, and right then and there you knew, we were going to get back on track and roll right through the playoffs.
Well, so, Paul, you guys now go into the playoffs. That looks like 2, and it is. But you guys go into the playoffs with the idea that you're playing pretty good baseball even after that lull. Was there ever a time in the playoffs, because you guys dominated, you go 11-1 in the playoffs, so was there a time when you thought, okay, we're now in kind of deep water. Now we really have to dig down and get something done?
I think there was probably just 2 times in that playoffs where I just thought about anything. Before the very first game against Boston, because Boston, they weren't who they were, but they still had all the same players that had won a World Series with. And so there's some nerves going into catching them in the first round. Like, how is this going to go? We have a group that's never been here, and, how's that going to be? But we came out that first game, and it was like, okay, we're fine. We're, like Jermaine just said, once we clinched, it was like a new lease on life, and we were a very dangerous team, and it showed that in that first game in that first series. The only other time was probably when we dropped the first game in the ALCS to the Angels. Not that we was worried we were down 1-0. It was just the Angels were a very good team, built well, run well, had been winning, and you just knew, like, that's a team that they don't mess around. And so that was probably the only time I ever thought, besides that first moment before we started playing, of like, maybe it will end here, who knows. And then we came right back and boom, went up, tied it at 1, and then ran them off another 3 at home for us on the road. And that was, that was it. I knew once we got to the World Series, I felt like, Houston's a really good team, but there's no way they're going to match the urgency because of everything in this city with how much we haven't won 88 years and all that. Unless we played very poorly, I just felt like I think we're a better team, but also there was such urgency on our side to close it off that we just weren't going to be denied, you know.
Well, that's one of the great things, that going into the World Series, realizing that so many Hall of Famers, so many great players, never even got one look at the World Series. I felt, having been there just the one time, that, I mean, that was so important to bear down and try to win, because you never know if you are ever going to have a shot to get back again. Did it ever cross your mind as you went into the World Series knowing that it was going to be Houston as your opponents, that if I come up short here, maybe it never happens again?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm sure Jermaine would echo it. Looking in retrospect, when you're playing, you kind of don't. It's like when you make an all-star game or something. You just kind of assume, well, I'll get back to another. But now when you look back on it, it's scary to think, like, you know, some guys get there in their first or second year into the World Series, they lose, and think, well, I'll get another crack, and then they play for another 10 years, never see it again. Yeah. So looking back at it, yeah, man, it's we're very fortunate that we caught a team that did it, you know, and now we can say forever that we're champions.
Well, guys, stay around. We'd like to talk to you a little bit more about what you're doing these days, and we'll head into the bottom of the third inning. It's 1-0 Royals.